Okay, well, welcome back to part 2. As you can see, it hasn't started well. I've had a failure. So what's happened is it grabbed the resin. So this is quite soft, this is quite hard, and obviously because it's been curing for a while, this has actually gotten harder and harder. So tool goes through this quite easily, hits that and gets this. Now I could, I suppose, try and glue that in and, you know, patch this and that and do everything else, but the jaws grabbed it here, here, here. I don't know where all the bits are, got no idea. The other option is try and figure out if I can mount it back this way, shape it down again, redo the mortise, turn it back around again, and start all over again. This is not how I planned part 2 to be. It was supposed to be finish hollowing it, get it done, get a lid made, and off we go. So now I'm going to have to figure out a way to get this back on here. Yeah, bugger. All right. I think it's too nice to just not continue with. Alright, leave it with me, I'll see what I can do. Okay, so I've got it mounted back onto a glue block. Hopefully that's strong enough to hold it, enough for me to get this turned down again. It's not running great. I could not get it any better than that. So I'm going to have to probably end up almost turning the whole thing on the outside again, down to this level. Yeah. Alright, what's the worst that can happen? It completely destroys itself and we move on and do something else. So let me get my helmet and stuff, we'll have another crack. We're back to where we kind of started from. So I'm not going to bore you with the whole process. I'm going to get this all finished up, and when I bring you back it'll be flipped around and we'll start hollowing again. Alright, so we are back to where we started from. I've reshaped, finished the outside. Well, not reshaped, just finished the outside. I've recut my lip here, so now that's where my lid will sit. I've removed the glue block and I've drilled a hole straight through to the bottom, so that's as far as I got. And now we can fingers and toes and everything crossed, that we don't have any more issues. But hey, this is wood turning. And can I just also add, I didn't have to show the fact that it got thrown off the lathe and I had to repair it and all this sort of stuff. I didn't have to show that. I could have showed you a perfect video and it was like, yep, well, here we are, everything's fine. But you know what? Wood turning is like that. Shit happens. And I just thought, you know, some people might appreciate the fact that I've left my boo-boos in there because I'm not perfect. Nothing's perfect. Things happen all the time. And as you can see, if you've watched any of my previous videos, accidents happen. Things get thrown off the lathe. You've got to deal with it. You've got to repair it. You've got to do what you've got to do to finish the product. So that's why I left it in there. This is not supposed to be perfection because it just is what it is. Getting there. A little bit further to go, but we're getting there. Alright, we're all hollowed out. I'm going to start sanding on 20, no, 80. Again, in here, a bit of tear out. I'll show you 80 and then bring you back and put some sanding sealer on there. That all looks like it'll be fairly easy. Get it sanded up and I'll bring you back. Alright, we're all sanded up to 4000, same as the outside. I do have the smallest amount of tear out in here. I just, didn't matter what I did, I just couldn't get it out of there. So it can stay there, that's fine, I don't mind. It is on the inside, I prefer the outside to look, you know, really, really nice. If there's a fraction of tear out in there, you know what, once it's full of biscuits, no one cares. Alright, I'll get set up here, we'll go with some sanding sealer. We'll let that sit for 20 minutes. We'll come back and we'll give it a buff. See you shortly. Alright, polish them up. Alright, then we'll leave that at that and we'll get this lid started. Alright, so I've got my piece of almond glued in there. You can see I've just give it a bit of shape, so it's a little bit more interesting, and I am going to go ahead and mix up the exact same colours, dump it in here, put it in the pressure pot, and then that'll become our lid. I think this is probably a better way to do it than just have the wood itself. So let me get set up here and we'll pour some resin. Alright, you know the deal. Give it a day, drag it out. Okay, got my lid all mounted up here. Just got it on a glue block. I'm just going to bring it into round, flatten off this end, and then figure out how big we need to make it. So I'll get started on that. Okay, we're getting there. Got a few spots that haven't probably quite filled in as I would have liked. Now, this is my where the lid's got to fit. So what we'll do, okay, so that's the diameter of the cookie jar. So we're going to take some of this down and make sure that we fit on there, and then do some more shaping here. I'm going to give it a bit of a curve, and then we'll end up with a mortise in there so I can flip it around and work on the top. So let's start just nice and easy, famous last words. Just start working this edge down and see if the cookie jar itself will fit on there. This is where you want to sneak up on it. You don't want to go too hard too early. Sneak. Just sneak. Now that is a snug fit, but we probably don't want to necessarily be quite that snug. We probably just need to take a bit more, and plus sanding might just about do us. I reckon might leave it at that for now. I'm going to come back over here and work on the bottom a little, and if we need to adjust this again we can. I just want to get some shape. I also need to figure out how deep this is actually going to sit on here. Come over there. Ew. Alright, let's come back over here. start at 80. I'm going to sand all the bottom, this edge here, probably sand that, but I don't know if I'll finish that yet because this has still got to be shaped, so it might be wasting my time, but I'll definitely get inside and outside done here. Alright, starting at 80, I'll show you that. Alright, that's going to be pretty easy, and again, as I'm doing this, I'm just going to double check that this is going to fit, and we're still fine, so I don't want to take too much off of here. Alright, I'll bring you back when it's done. Put some sanding sealer on here. Okay, so I forgot to press record. And all I've done, so the bottom's finished, I've just started giving this a little bit of a there, which will make it easy when I turn it around. At least this edge I'm happy with. Now I'll turn it around and we can start shaping the rest of that. Alright, we're all flipped around. We'll start getting some sort of shape. I don't know what shape, as you know, it's a lid shape-ish or something. Got to be careful I don't go too far, because I lose all my resin. I don't mind the shape. It's kind of a, you know, got a nice shape. I had to go deeper on the end here because there was glue. So, you know, glue. Alright, we're all ready. 80 to 4000. Show you 80. Alright, that looks pretty easy. So I'll get this finished up, bring it back, put some sanding sealer on there. Alright, we're all sanded up. Let's get it finished. Sanding sealer. Alright, you know the drill. Leave that sit for a good 20 minutes. We'll come back and buffer up. Alright, done. We'll take it outside and we'll have a look at it. Okay, so here it is, all finished up. As you can see, it's turned out pretty good. Put my logo in the bottom, handle, and the colours didn't turn out too bad. So the colours of the lid and the actual colours, the mix was pretty good. It actually turned out pretty well. You can see the bottom of the lid, all these cracks filled in really nice. And you can see in the bowl, or in the cookie jar I should say. Yeah, it turned out really nice. This part 2 obviously turned out, went longer than it was supposed to. You can tell that it I had some issues, but I think it was worth leaving that sort of stuff in there. Very happy with the way this turned out. Appreciate you watching. I'll leave some pictures at the end. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Ciao for now.